I wrote 100 letters to MrBeast. I did that, and I sent them. Yeah. Baby! Welcome back, Nationers, to another episode of The Realest Podcast. I believe this is episode 40? Oh my gosh, episode 40. I haven't posted in a while, and I do first off want to apologize for that. The past few weekends have been crazy. They've been nuts, and I don't know how to explain it, but I'm going to explain it today. And yeah, episode 40 banner kind of right there. You can't really see it on here. I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, is this a good angle still? I feel like it is. But I'm trying to think maybe like a different, I'm like, I don't know, what angle should I do? I'm like, it's just not really like a thought, like until I get into this room, like, oh, what angle should I choose? And so I continue to choose this one angle that I picked out of like a whim when I was like, oh, I should probably do like more personal. This was the angle, and I've just kept it over the past two episodes. I think this is episode 40. I'm going to feel bad if it's not, because it's like such an episode. Obviously, it is an episode. It feels like such like a good episode, you know? So I'm going to make sure that this is episode 40. Again, thank you guys so much for viewing, watching, listening, and most importantly, subscribing. I appreciate you guys. This is episode, why did I say 40? What in the world? It is episode 32. It is episode 32. As you can tell, I have completely forgot what episode it is. It could be episode like 69 or something, and I wouldn't even know. It could be episode 69 for the next like 38 episodes, and I wouldn't even know it. But regardless, I'm glad to be back here for another episode 32 of The Realest Podcast. Again, thank you guys so much for watching and listening, wherever you guys do that. Wow. Episode 32. You know, I came into this a little unplanned, as you could tell. I didn't even know what episode it was. But I knew that there was a few things that I wanted to talk about in today's episode. One of them was about writing MrBeast 100 letters to potentially win a chocolate factory. Yeah, I did that. Right here. So I guess like maybe this is why like the table might be moved. I don't know if this was the proper space for the table because I moved it around a whole bunch. So this might even be off. I have no idea. I honestly have no idea. I feel like I should have markers or whatnot. I don't. And it's like it kind of opens up my eyes a little bit to like, oh, I'm like, okay, maybe we should create like a decent process for that. Probably create a decent process for this angle, the table, and everything that it includes. Not to mention, the past 2 weeks, this is another thing that I wanted to talk about. So not this weekend, because it is Easter Sunday as well. It probably wouldn't have been a good day to do anything recording-wise. But over the past 2 weeks, Nationers, I have wanted to record a podcast. I have brought my equipment both times over to the Seattle area, the greater Seattle area. I want to talk about this first story before anything gets going, because this story, I was like, okay, I want to go film a video over in the Seattle area, and I was like, this is so interesting. I'm like, what could I bring? I'm like, I could bring my podcast stuff. I'll do a podcast in a hotel. I'll do a podcast in a hotel. That'd be really cool. So I thought. Not that I ever got to record this episode, but I didn't even get the hotel. I booked a hotel on the Hopper app, and essentially what had happened was I drove all the way over to this place. I then tried checking into the hotel, and I was rejected my entry. Not because I might have like long hair or because I was wearing like the color green. It was because I was 20 years old. It was because I was 20 years old and I wasn't old enough. I wasn't 21, essentially. I wasn't 21 years old to then check in. I was denied check-in. What? I've never heard of a rule. Like, I'm like, I could get it like maybe like 18. But then I started thinking, I'm like, what about if like a 16-year-old? Like somebody like Josh and Knight, like somebody like them who are super young, they can't check into certain hotels. And not to mention, like, I was about to book another hotel before I left over to this place. And I saw that you had to be 21 to check in. So I'm like, oh, crap, I can't go there. So then I was like, check this other one. They didn't have it in the policies on the Hopper app. And I had been like, okay, well, I guess that's what we're going to do. We're going to check in because it doesn't say any policy where you have to be 21. So essentially, I drove 4.5 hours late night. It was like 9 o'clock, maybe like a little bit before 9 o'clock. It was probably around 9 o'clock, actually, like 9:13, actually, now I'm thinking about it. And I go to check in. There's one lady just there. There's another lady in front of me, and there was an Indian couple before her that I had seen when I was pulling up. So the first lady goes, she explains, the hotel worker explains like all the details, like blah, 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 just like making sure. I start like going up there after her, and she tells me the same stuff. I'd heard it. And obviously for her record, she's got to tell me. And not only that, like I had handed her my ID. She had like a little machine to check it. And she's like, and I'm like, okay, like let me go get my car license because you need to have like your car registered into this parking lot. So you don't have like strangers just like pulling up. And yeah, she's like, before you do that, you're not 21, and removes like this paper over a sign that only she could read because it's like inverted. Like she could read it because it's left to right, top to bottom. It's like right to left, bottom to top for me because it's backwards. And she's like, you're not 21. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, unfortunately, I can't check you in. I'm like, okay. That sucks. I didn't say that, but I'm like, okay. I guess she's like, I'm kind of new around here. I just started working here not too long ago. Motel 6. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sleep in my car. I'm just going to sleep in my car. I think I was going to take the L on that. And I was like, oh, dang, I can't really record a podcast because I needed to record because I was going to go over there to record. That was my intention. But I slept in my car. Not too bad. I woke up the next morning and it was just like downpouring. And I'm like, well, this is great. Probably can't record. And I was like, you know what? I guess I'm just going to take the L. I'm just going to drive back. And I drove back. Stopped at my grandma's house because she's on the way. Boom, bada, bing. Okay. Took the L on that. Not too bad. I, paid for my gas. Paid for some Domino's pizza before I went over. And then I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back, but I'm going to record a different video because this one doesn't really require the weather. It just requires, like, going there, right? That's perfect. That's fine. And I was going to go to Seattle. I was going to stay with one of my friends who I met through Creator Now, Jakerton. Or Jacob. I'll just call him Jacob. And I was going to stay with him. And this was like such a short whim. I was like, okay, Mom, I might need you to come with me because I was going to want to buy a hotel. But I'm not 21 at this time. Like a week passed and I'm not 21 yet. So I was like, oh, Mom, do you want to come? And she's like, well, I might. Well, hold on. Don't book a hotel yet. I'm going to see if one of my friends, if I'm able to stay. And then my mom, I have a cousin who lives over in the Seattle area. But she works. So I was like, I don't really want to be like a burden. So like I was just going to go stay with Jacob. And luckily he was like super helpful, like was able to get me a place to stay. And my mom was like, I'm like, I got a place to stay. I don't need you to come anymore because I don't need to check into a hotel. I'm just checking into Jacob's place unless you need to be 21, which I'm pretty sure there was no policy for that. And my mom was just going to stay with my cousin, our cousin, I guess, over there. So then we drove over. My mom took like the first third. I took the second third. And we get over to like Ellensburg, which is kind of like central, little west of like central Washington. And that's when it starts going into like the mountainy pass area. We have a pass. Most people probably don't know what a pass is. If you don't know what a pass is, it's between like trying to get from one mountain to the other. There's probably a whole bunch. There's a few in Hawaii. There's probably a whole bunch on the Appalachian Mountains on the East Coast. Probably a whole bunch in like the Rocky Mountains, but not a whole lot in like Kansas or like Iowa or anything in Middle America. But the pass, this was like the first day. So we drove over Saturday, and I was going to drive over Friday and come back Sunday. However, we decided to go Saturday because we just did. And how it kind of went was we got stopped, not by police, not by any other car. But because there was a surplus of snow this day, and there was a whole bunch of crashes, and obviously when there's a huge bunch of crashes in the snow, cars aren't going to go far, and you're not going to be able to drive at all. So, essentially what happened was there was like a crash going westbound, and it was pretty bad snow, so they closed the pass for like 5 hours. It was from like 3 to like 9. It was like 3:40-ish to like 9 p.m. And me and my mom, we had decided to essentially go over, and we were going to just like try and wait it out. We waited like 40 minutes. We didn't really know what was going on. I'm checking Twitter because I'd seen the past cameras, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll probably check that. And I'm like checking through all of them, and there's like there's like it's like do, big gap, do. And I'm like, well, how do I see the chunk that's not there where all the cars are crashed? And you could tell that like there's no cars passing through, and I'm like, oh damn, like this would be pretty bad. And I check on my maps because Jacob had texted me like, what's your ETA to my place? And I was like, okay, let me just plug it in. And I plug in the address, and I'm like, huh? It took us like 3.5 hours just to get here to this point where we're stopped at a standstill. And I look at my time, my ETA, it's like 3.5 hours. What? 3.5 hours? It took us 3.5 hours just to get here. What? That was insane. I like check, and you could scroll, and there's like, okay, there's like slowing down, there's like a hazard, and there was like a crash, and I'm like, oh, yikes. And this was pretty bad. There's like a corner pin of like some stuff. I saw some photos on Twitter. It was a nightmare of a time for probably anyone past a certain section, because how this pass works is it splits. It splits at certain sections and kind of comes back, but there's always like a big guardrail. And luckily, where me and my mom and a whole bunch of other cars, we were right before one of the last off-ramps. Mind you, there was still a middle section full of like snow and what seemingly seemed like grass, but you can't tell because of snow over it. So it could be like a pond. It could be anything else. But there's cars like driving over it because they're just turning around because they know their plans are just like a little wrench in the plans for a little bit. And mind you, we'd got there pretty much like right as they closed the pass. So we were like in the very back. Luckily, we stopped by like a place called Easton, pulled off for like 30 minutes just to see if like the pass was going to be open or if there's any updates. And then by the time it was like it was 4:50. I'm like, Mom, if it's 4:50 and nothing's changed, we're just going to head back home. So that's exactly what we did. We stopped in Ellensburg, got some Sonic. Love me some Sonic. Me and my sister went there yesterday. We got her like the brownie batter. She's like, man, I really want that brownie batter on the commercial. I'm like, okay, well, let's go get it. Let's go do it. And not to mention, because not that I forgot her birthday, okay? I didn't forget my sister's birthday. It is March 20th, whatever. But I didn't buy her a gift. I just didn't buy her a gift because what had happened was that was the time that I was heading down to LA to do the meetup. And I just missed her birthday. I got there on her birthday, but I hadn't bought her anything. And I was like, well, like I felt bad, obviously, because it's my sister. Like I love her to death. I need to like buy her something. And there was like a few things in my mind, but I just never got to buying them. And essentially that week that I kind of got back, it was like the next week. I'm like, hey, Kate, and I didn't really get you anything. So I will like anything that you kind of like want, I'll get you. And so I got her a Sidemen like the YouTube group. I got her a poster of theirs, and then she also likes the like World Tech like shirt that they have, the XIX like green and black that has like a holographic thing on the back. It's not holographic, it's not like a Pokemon card of a shirt, but it is like it almost looks like a digital like format thing, like a digital poster almost. And I got her that shirt. And yeah, that was it. That was pretty much it. So that's what I got her for her birthday. So we could stop the joke about how I forgot my sister's birthday. It's okay. I just didn't buy her anything quite yet. And then, yeah, so that essentially happened. And so kind of like how this last event kind of turns into like the MrBeast thing where I wrote 100 letters to MrBeast. I did that. And I sent them. Yeah. um, so when I got home that night, it was, yeah, we stopped at like 3.5 hours. It was around 9 o'clock. And I was pretty tired because I drove all the way back and then drove 2/3 of the way there. So I drove a lot. I drove like 5, 6 of the way, and I didn't mind it. You know, my mom's not very, she doesn't like driving at night. Okay. Not a lot of people like driving at night. I don't mind it, but I get very sleepy. I get very tired when I drive. But I know when I have my mom in the car, I'm like, just stay awake, Jared, please. So I did that. And yeah, essentially I got back and I was like, I got on the computer and I was just like trying to catch up on videos, and I go over to the couch, and this is where I was going to fall asleep. And my sister was just like up. I don't know. I thought she had gone to bed at like 9, pretty much like right as I got home. But no, she was like just in her room, just chilling. And I'm like, oh, hi, Caitlin. What are you doing here? So essentially, I like pull up a video by Matt Pat on his Food Theorist channel. And I was like, I'd seen this thumbnail and it was like, is it illegal about the sweepstakes and like whatnot? And he kind of goes into talking about how certain corporations, such as like the Monopoly and McDonald's, like how they have the little Monopoly game, or like different, like even like Disney's like, oh, the cruise ship sweepstakes, stuff of that nature. You could, so anything, so what, and I can't be for certain when I'm saying this, but what he said was like, there's a certain way that you could enter into a sweepstake because it's a sweepstake. There has to be like 3 different criteria. And I forget what that is. But there has to be like one where it can't be like gambling. And so you have to like be awarded your spot. Like you have to be able to control the outcome in some way. And so obviously most of the ways that people are doing these sweepstakes is by dialing a number, buying something. Buying something's like the main thing. Dialing a number is like, I don't know, like texting a thing and hope that you win. But you probably have to buy something to get that code. However, the way that, this is my theory, and again, I can't be 100% certain about this, is that anything that is called a sweepstakes, you can control the outcome in some regard. You could send a letter for all intents and purposes. There's an alternative method of entry, is what they call it, an AMOE. And essentially, within the MrBeast Feastables sweepstakes, spectacular, there was a way that you could enter in by sending a letter. You'll never believe it. So and they like shared this on their Discord, that there's like a certain way that you could do it. And I I didn't know about this until the 9th, which was the day, this is last Saturday, that I had found out about this. They all had to be mailed by the 12th. So I just spent like the next 2 days, anytime that I could, to just like write one little thing, or like fill out the letter. So I sat here the night of the 10th, just like writing all 100 note cards, because the note cards, so inside of an envelope had to be a certain note card with certain information, phone number, email, date of birth, make sure you're old enough to enter, and then obviously your name and mailing address, because you may have won something that they need to ship to you. Yeah, you may win something that they need to ship to you, so they need to ship to you and like confirm stuff and whatnot. So they have name, mailing address, number, phone number, mobile number, whatever you want to call, home phone, maybe, who knows, and your birth date, and then your email address. So done all that good jazz. And I did that 100 times. And then on the envelopes, there needs to be your mailing address and then who it's to. And let me tell you that this, you guys, I don't know if you guys could see this, but this note card is long. So on here, again, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'll explain it to you. So it's the business, real-time media, the attention of what this is for. So it's ATTN. That might not mean attention. That's just what I'm thinking it means. It's like meaning that this is what this for. This is what this for. Because this could be like a bill. This could be really anything. This is the Feastables Mystery Ticket Promotion. Long word, right? Attention to Feastables Mystery Ticket Promotion. Those are a lot of letters. Not to mention the address, 1001 Conshohocken Conshohocken. It couldn't have been like Elk or like Tree State Road. It couldn't have been any shorter. Conshohocken State Road. And it had to be Conshohocken State. You could have abbreviated the road. I didn't because I'm like, I want to be like, what they're telling me, I'm going to write. I don't care. I'm not going to try and take corners. So I wrote road all the time instead of RD. But for my address, I wrote RD, like the blank road, RD. And then there's a suite. There's a suite, because it's like a corporate office. And it's Suite 2130. Conshohocken, PA, Pennsylvania, 19428. And then I had to write that 100 times. Actually, 105. I did send 105 letters in because when I got to the mail, the post office, when I was about to turn them in, I was like, okay, the post office closes at 5. I arrived at like 12:45. That's when they went on lunch. So I was like, oh, that's no biggie. I'm just gonna like write a few letters here. So I wrote 5 letters, drove back home, which it wasn't far. Because I needed to tape all my letters down because I didn't want like the letters to open up by any means or get crumpled or get ripped. So I just taped everything down. So I spent like 20 minutes doing that. And then I got back to the post office, got all the stamps, which is 105, and then started stamping all of them. And there's a video on my TikTok. There's a video on my Instagram. Surprisingly, my Instagram video did better than my TikTok, which is really funny. I never had like a really good Instagram Reels until that one. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's been kind of weird because like I posted the Eric Metaverse video and that one's almost about to reach 1 million views, which is insane. Like I've never seen a 1 million view video on my channel ever. So I've been pretty happy about that. And we just hit like 10,000 followers on TikTok and now we're at 12.1, maybe 12.9. I don't know, 12 point something. So we're about to reach like 13K soon. And I'm really happy about that. And it's just like, it feels like all the work that, you know, it's just like little things, little bits and pieces, and it's just about being consistent. And so with this podcast, I was like, okay, I need to be more consistent about it. And that's what I need to do. Like, I just need to be more consistent about it. And it kind of sucks because over the past 2 weeks, some things arose that I just like, that's where my focus has gone to, where I didn't get a hotel, didn't get the opportunity to record. Mainly because, again, I was like, well, I might be recording tomorrow and I don't want all my batteries to be dead. And then have to like wake up to then charge them and then waste more time for the recording. So I was like, okay, I'll like put that on the back burner for like that week. And then I got over to the NFT museum and I was going to film a podcast episode with Jacob, but then I never ended up going because of the 3.5 hour delay. So I didn't end up doing that, unfortunately. And then this week I was like, okay, podcast episode is going out. It's going out. And I was like, yep, it's going out. Like we really got to like get this going out. Why did I think it was episode 40? That's such a joke. I hope you guys meme that in our Discord. If you guys aren't a part of our Discord, I'll leave a link down below so you guys can join. You guys will be updated on when all the podcasts go out and anything of that nature. Also, I just opened up a subreddit. So yeah, that was really funny. I was like, welcome back, episode 40. No, it's not episode 40. That was really funny. However, Nationers, thank you guys so much for watching episode 32 of The Realest Podcast. I appreciate you guys viewing, watching, listening, and subscribing. And wherever you guys are listening to, I appreciate you guys. Feel free to DM me on Instagram by any means at TheRealestPod on Instagram. It sucks that it's not The Realest Podcast. Kind of sucks. Other than that, Nation, I appreciate you. Have a good one. 07. Peace.